Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hello, my name is Ainsley, and this is Barn A. Sonia and I both do meat rabbits and show rabbits. She does mostly Rex, I do Rex and New Zealand. And today we are going to talk about some rabbit supplies. We're going to go over some of the supplies that we like, what we think is best, what we would avoid. I think we're going to go through some feeders, some cages, and what we use for rest mats. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So we are gonna go in order from least liked to what we think is best. Good old Pet Lodge. Love the cages. Cages are not bad. Feeders, however, are definitely not as great. This is just wire. It's not held in place by anything really. It's easy to chew. So when we have kits in with mom, we'll usually have the big size of this on the cage and they chew right through it. And then you go to put the grain in and it falls to the floor and makes a huge mess. Completely not chew resistant. We like that it doesn't rust as quickly. That's not bad, but it's not chew resistant. And when you have a lot of rabbits doing a lot of things, you kind of have to find a chew resistant situation. So we don't love these. We're actually phasing them out because every time that we put one up, usually 4 months later, it's chewed. Second feeder that I would kind of avoid is anything solid bottom. So the problem with solid bottoms is they're solid bottoms. There's no sifting happening. All of the dust collects here, all of the feed dust, which can become a little bit moldy. It can kind of affect sort of the other feed in the area. We don't love it. We would rather it be a sifted situation. We want, dry, non-dusty pellets because rabbits tend to have a pretty weak respiratory system. These are sturdy. I think this is either a Bass or a KW. I'm not 100% sure. It doesn't have any identifying qualities on it. We got this in a trade. And so we don't really love it. And because there's so much dust in there, if it does get wet in here, it will turn into almost cement. So hard to clean, not super great for your rabbits. The third on our list today is the Do More feeders. What I like about the Do More feeders is they are a wide mouth. So there's a lot of available feed in the bottom at any given time. This little sifter is nice and sturdy. It's not nearly as bad as the Pet Lodge. The only thing that I personally don't like about it is that it opens a different way than some of the other feeders. So when you have it side mounted, it's kind of a pain to get into and feed into. And I don't love that it's painted. I don't love anything painted. I still have a couple Do More cages hanging about here that we are actually in the process of upgrading because they also were painted. And the thing about paint is eventually it comes off, and usually it's because of chewing. Well, I've never had a problem with a rabbit chewing any painted items and getting sick, but I also personally don't love that is still happening. I don't love anything coated, anything painted. It's a personal preference of mine. Now, these feeders are what I would consider the best type of feeder. So this is the KW Siftomatic. I do believe that the Siftomatic is a independent company, but I purchased these off of KW. Other than this really nice solid sifter bottom that is chew resistant, as well as this whole thing being rust resistant, it comes with unbent spokes for the hanging of the feeder. This means I can get it where I want it, and then I can bend it myself onto the cage, which is great because then I can keep it on the cage and it's not going anywhere. Animals can't push them out, they can't push them up. I have one doe that if she is without food in her feeder for more than 3 hours, she'll pop the little hooks off and her feeder will go onto the ground. We're going to talk a little bit about water systems now. So for the guys out here, we usually do the Lixit. I can't remember the model name for this Lixit, but this one is the best that we found. These guys don't have a filter, which the Lixit lever ones do. And the water that we have here to take care of the animals, it is it's got a lot of clay in it. So anytime you put a filter in a water bottle, it just stops working. If you have crystal clear water, it might not be a problem for you, but for us, we find that the other model just doesn't do as well here. This is the lever one, you can see, because the actual mechanism is different. So this comes with a little filter in here, and it also stains very quickly. So we have red clay in our soil and it absolutely demolishes the color of this. The only cool thing and redeeming factor for this in our situation is the top fed water situation. So we can put this on the cages and then we can just fill, and that's pretty nice. I also found that the lever one leaks a lot. So now we're going to show you what we prefer. So this is the water system that we have. This tube is clear, so it obviously gathers some of the hard water stuff that we have going on. But we just do a 5-gallon bucket. They're always watered. We fill this usually every other day. I think the one inside we fill every day because we have so many rabbits in that circuit. We don't use any type of agitation or pressure. This is all gravity fed. In the wintertime, we usually use just bowls. Those rubber bowls usually go for $8 at a whack at Tractor Supply. I think they're like the feed bowls. We don't have enough power in the rabbitry to actually run a bucket warmer in the wintertime. So the next thing we're going to talk about is rest mats. We get them off Amazon because they are cheaper on Amazon, but they are just as good as everything else that's on the market. Use plastic because it's replaceable, and when it gets really cold out in the wintertime, if an animal is on top of it, there is no issues with freezing or getting any type of frostbite on animals' feet. We do Rex here. Sometimes the moms will lose a little bit of fur coverage on their feet. If you put anything that will freeze in their cage, they can actually get frostbite. We had that happen a couple years ago. It was not pretty. So that's why we use plastic. Now, a caveat to this is that in the summertime, we actually freeze tiles and we use tiles to keep them cool, but that usually ends as soon as it starts to get a little bit cooler outside. Cages. We're gonna go over some of the cages that we do like here and the cages that we don't like. And starting off with cages that are the worst. And this is the Do More brand. These cages rust immediately. I think we had this for 4 months. Structurally, it's okay, but I don't love how easy it's rusted. And that is because it is painted. So up here, you can see the place where the rabbit actually isn't is still coated, but down here where the rabbit actually lives, it is no longer coated and it is rusted and it is not great. We have a replacement cage coming specifically for this one, and then we have one more at the end that we are going to replace next month. Good cages tend to be a little bit expensive. One of the problems we had with this cage is it immediately broke. This was a door and it kept, you can see it had a little rod that ran through here and kept the door from coming open. We almost immediately had to change it to this because this popped right out. And this one, same size, same make, same model, came with the door that was oriented incorrectly. And so this is what the original item looked like. You open up the cage and the door is already there. And so the door orientation was wrong from the previous one that we purchased. And we did do one litter in here, and after that we were all done because this is just not a great cage. And we had to bend the door frame to even get an S-box in here. So this one is also up for replacement next month. A good slogan over here at both barns actually is the Do More brand usually does less. The problem is that they're readily available. You could just go and purchase them down the street if you have a Tractor Supply down the street, and so that's their main draw, and that's usually why people are still buying them. Second cage supplier that we have is Pet Lodge. Pet Lodge is not bad. It is rust resistant. I don't love the wire gauge that it comes with, and there is no option to change it, so I don't love that. But as for growing out cages, these do fine. Third is Bass Equipment Co. We love Bass equipment. They are cheaper, usually by an average of $20 from KW. The gauge on the cages that they come with is really nice, and they do have the option to increase the gauge so that you know, if you're running a breed like Rex, it's less hard on their feet. And again, rust resistant. The only thing that I don't love about these ones, the modulars, is that the door opens inwards. But the thing about that is they do have the option to change that as well when you're purchasing them right from the manufacturer. The cost of it is a little bit more for that option, but it is still an option. The third and best option we have found is the Bass 30 by 36 3-stack option. Now, this has a nice large door, really nice and sturdy. Again, the wire gauge is nice. And what I like about these ones specifically is they have this little bar running through it. So this keeps the cage from bowing too much, which also is really good for the Rex. Any type of bowing in their cage floor is not great for the Rexes and their hawks. This is the group of culprits that ate through their last Pet Lodge feeder. So they're getting a chew-resistant Siftomatic. Now, with the 3-stack, there is something to be said about them. And it's not necessarily good or bad. It's just that because they are 3-stack, they require cleaning. Outside on the modular side, we just clean it twice a year. We shovel it up and we take it to the manure pile. You cannot do that with a 3-stack. And we run litters or more than one animal in those cages at a time. We are out here usually once a week, taking that manure out of those pans and putting new shavings in and, you know, doing as much cleaning of them as we can. And ideally for us, I don't love the amount of cleaning that we have to do. So if you're someone who has a busy lifestyle like mine, it might really it might not be a good choice to go with the 3-stack. If you have a lot of time and you don't care and cleaning is your therapy, absolutely go for the 3-stack. The only other thing that I'll say about the Bass cages is that the pans that they come with are very thin and very small. So I did have to invest in taller pans. And the pans that I did purchase were about $75 each plus $20 shipping. So I spent an additional $500 probably on those 3-stacks. I have 3 of the 3-stacks, and I think we almost all of them have the updated trays. So the price point for that is not great. But again, if you have time and you can clean twice a week, those smaller pans aren't too bad. It just depends on your situation. And we are going to do an honorable mention here. We don't love wooden hutches. We don't. We're getting rid of our grow out hutch and we're switching to modulars for grow outs next year. But this little unit has done us many solids. What we like about this is that there's enough space for bucks to live and to be comfortable, but it's not too large where we have does running away from bucks. It's small enough that, you know, we get the does in there, they do their business, and it's usually, you know, pretty easy. We don't love the wood, but this wood has been super sturdy, and even with all of the chewing, it has kept all of our bucks very safe, very happy. And so we probably won't be replacing this guy anytime soon. Hi, hello. So save for that really nice hutch, we suggest personally to stay away from wood if you're just starting out. Anything wood is gonna rot, it's gonna get chewed, it's gonna be pretty nasty. We got really lucky with that item. This little hutch over here, the grow out hutch, we bought it for $200 and we fixed the floors and we got everything set up, and it's only lasted a year. I think we've done 18 litters, grow out litters, which is a lot. It's a good number, but it's just not, we need something that's going to last a couple years because we can't continue to replace and replace. That's going to get us really far in the negative very quickly. So avoid wood if you can. I know that sometimes it's out there and it's cheap and it might be the only option for you guys, but I've put way more work into that than I would have the money into just like a couple of modular cages mounted on that side. So another thing to go over while we're going over general supplies is this guy, an analog scale. Show you the difference between the digital and the analog scale. Unfortunately, I don't have the digital anymore because it does not last. I think I had it for a month and then after that it just stopped working. It stopped, it became uncalibrated. It was saying all of my really large animals were only 6 pounds, and that's not true. I got the analog scale and then I brought it in and I reweighed everybody and they were like pounds off. So all of my animals that came out as 6 were actually 8, and everything that came out as 8 was actually closer to 10. So in our opinion, just go with the analog. It's so much easier. You can get a milk crate. We have 2 size milk crates. We have a small singular milk crate that goes on top, and then we have a double milk crate. So if we're doing a whole litter at once, the double will go on. If we're doing 1 or 2, the single one will go on. And if you are investing in your rabbitry, definitely get a scale. You're gonna want to keep track of how kits are growing out. You're gonna want to keep track of the end result for your holdbacks. It's required. So go ahead and get a good one. I just found that the analog works better. It's good old faithful. I can come out here, I can slam a milk crate on it, and I know that it's gonna work, versus the digital, which lied to me the whole time. So, and a quick recap on nest box slats while we're out here. Metal solid bottom, not wood. This guy I washed and bleached a couple weeks ago, and it's been outside ever since, and it's still dirty. So avoid wood when you can. Just get something with a metal bottom or even a wire bottom. If you aren't in a cold climate, this works 10 times better. It's so much easier. Get something that's not wood because these wooden slats for nest boxes are so gross and they're hard to clean. And for me, I want a sterile environment when I have kits coming in. I want to give them the best chance of survival that I can. I don't want anything to spread. I don't like disease. I don't like parasites. I don't like anything. Everything has to be really clean, and that's just not going to happen with a nest box with a wooden bottom. Okay, guys, I think that's it. I think I've gone over pretty much everything. I don't have 2 different tattoo guns. If I did, I would also go over those. But yeah, I think we've covered pretty much everything here today. I have to go pull out some animals and do some evals, so maybe I'll get some footage of that to make into a short. At some point this week, I am going to have to take out Copper, our Angora, to give him a spa day, and I will definitely get footage of that. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Hope this video was helpful. I hope you learned a little bit. If you ever want to get in touch with me, you can find me on Facebook at Old Danville Rabbitry. If you want to get a hold of Sonia, also get a hold of me first. Sonia is not usually on her social medias. She's usually out in the barn doing stuff with her puppies and her rabbits. So if you want to get a hold of us, just shoot us a message over at Old Danville, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.